Good morning, UPBOptionMillionaires.com on this Thursday, December 2017, an hour before the opening bell, the day after Federal Reserve hiked interest rates. Yes, much like a Jets quarterback throwing a pass these days, the Federal Reserve is letting everybody know where it's going. And as such, the market really did not react much after the Federal Reserve came out and hiked interest rates. And if you look back a couple years ago, these meetings were so highly anticipated. After the announcement would come out, regardless if it was a rate hike or not, the market would move in a wild fashion. And here we are at record highs, and the market could barely muster a couple points in either direction. What does that tell you? The central bank's hashtag winning. As they find their perfect price stability, the market is now priced perfectly. Does not move anywhere because everyone's just happy buying and selling at a specific price on the overall market. On the flip side, we do have individual names continuing to rocket to fresh all-time highs on a seemingly daily basis, as this market does not want to give in any of its gains that it's had since the start of 2017, actually heading back to the election back in November. Remember, S&P 500 futures were down, limit down, the night of the election. Have not looked back since. And some of the names just continue to rip to the upside. I mean, look at Boeing yesterday, soaring to a new all-time record high. Look at the breakout it's had just in the last year and a half. Another one, Goldman Sachs upgraded conviction buy. Caterpillar, 149 plus yesterday before pulling back. But look at this breakout after multi-year consolidation, making that 2008 plunge look nothing more like just a small, tiny pullback for Caterpillar. Some names that have been breaking out in 2017 that have been pulling back, looking at a possible buying opportunity and some calls for MU, Micron. You can see it's been pulling back recently. Hit support. It's at 42. Briefly dipped under 40, but looks poised to continue to the upside. NVIDIA also pretty sharp pullback after its earnings report. NVIDIA looks like a nice little bounce play here heading into week's end. And historically in 2017, the end of the week has been pretty good for NVIDIA. So looking for some calls there today. Something that I think is going to pull back here, the bond market, TLT has been heading up to this possible head and shoulders pattern. Looked like it was going to do that pullback. It did briefly from this resistance line, but it's getting back up to it again. So at about 29, we're at 27.33. Getting close, looking for a pullback to about 115 for the 20-year bond treasury ETF. Also, you can look at junk in the trunk, which is also, it looks like it's starting to possibly roll over here. The options are very inexpensively priced because it's been chopping around in a narrow range. But when we do get some sort of a pullback like we saw at the start of 2000, it's going to be a really profitable trade. Let's look at energy, which was pulling back, has now recovered back to almost a 70 range. It's been a point of interest in the past, and I think we're going to move higher energy into 2018. Let's look at gold and gold miners, GDX, this wedge pattern, which has worked great for a stock like Baidu. Look at Baidu breaking higher out of the wedge. You can see the break higher out, and look at GDX. What's happening with GDX is breaking lower out of that wedge. So miners looking weak here to end 2017 and possibly into 2018. That's a trade to watch. Another wedge that has been breaking out significantly to the upside, Overstock.com. You can see this wedge going back to 2004. Significant breakout up into the lower 60s this morning before the market opened. Another stock that broke out of a wedge in a big way, 2017. Do you remember the start of the year talking about this was a $100 stock? Now it's over $320. Actually, new all-time high yesterday, $325 a share for LendingTree. And back in May of 2017, lenders stepped in. Convertible debt was issued. Oh my gosh, are they doing well on that? Warrants sold. Just a tremendous gain for those involved with LendingTree. Now about financials. We have financials breaking out to new all-time record highs here in 2017. Talked about it as being an inverted financial crisis a couple months ago when we finally broke through long-term resistance. And if you look at some of those charts I pulled up, for instance, of Caterpillar, right? We broke out of long-term resistance. Look at the move up, another 50% to the upside. I mean, can you imagine here we got another 20 or 30% of the upside here in the tank for XLF? What does that imply for the overall market if financials start to really take off? You can look Goldman Sachs this week hit a new record high. We had JP Morgan Chase actually yesterday pulling back, but it's going to make a nice buy as it breaks over the 110 in the next couple weeks. So if financials continue the upside, we're going to start to see tech again recover. Netflix was down to 180, bounced, it's up 187, but that's probably going to break back over 200 again, possibly into year's end. Amazon, possible move back over 1200. Facebook has been pulling back a little bit, but again, that support, another wedge here to break up to the 180s, possibly 200. A stock like BABA that's been pulling back, get back over 180 and possibly into the 200. And again, we have Baidu, which has been rejecting downside. See these wicks to the downside, rejected. They'll look a move back up possibly to 300 for Baidu. And another stock to watch is Intel. As you see, it broke out here, matching highs it hasn't seen in almost 18 years, but looks bullish back up to the 50 level. All right, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. So S&P 500 futures up slightly as the Federal Reserve, like any good New York Jets quarterback, has telegraphed the rate hike many months in advance. So we have, 3 coming next year. The market is digesting the news very well. No hiccups. The market is priced perfectly. I shouldn't say priced for perfection, but it's so perfectly priced that any kind of news comes out just doesn't move anywhere because everything is just so perfectly priced. Hashtag central banks winning. All right, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. See you in the chat room.